That doesn't mean that I'm going to share, but I want to record. And I want to invite everybody to say hello. You can unmute yourselves. Does everybody know how to unmute and mute? Great. So I want you to unmute yourselves and say hello to the people under your box, on the right of your box, on the other side of the box, and up the box. Okay? So at the count of 3, everybody unmute. I'm going to unmute you all. I think I can do that. Okay. So say hi. I see Rivka.
Hi, Marcello. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi,
Marcello. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Marlene.
Hi, Mariana. Rivka.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Rivka. Oh, Mariana. Oh, Debbie. Hi, Diana. Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Diana. Rivka. Hi, Matt. Hi, Artist.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You know, we are like in a building. And I don't know if you live in buildings. I used to live in a building in Argentina and also in New York. And we sometimes didn't even know our neighbors. And we were in the same building for years. So having the chutzpah to say hello to your neighbors before doing anything, I think it's great. So you're muted again, but for a little bit. Let me bring a little bit of the concept to jump into our topic, because I had a few conversations. Is everybody muted? I think someone is not, just so the recording is clear. Great. So I wanted to do this by themes, this series, of workshops by themes, because I think that it will help us and me focus on practices and also to co-create with you. As I said in the webinar, I'm not an expert of doing high holidays online that are interactive during a pandemic. And nobody on this call has ever lived something like this. So what I want is to also take the opportunity at some points to be able to create with you. Because my intention during all these years, while I was training educators, you know, through the Shababa network at the 92nd Street Y, even when I wasn't training educators, but when I was leading families, was that I trusted them before they trusted me. I went into the rooms knowing that there was so much creativity in them, even before I stepped into the room. And I came with this kavanah, with this intention. And through that intention is that I created the bonds that we created with each other. And mostly all the rituals that I'm going to go over with you today were co-created with the families. It wasn't that I sat down in my computer and said, you know what, I'm going to create a meaningful Shema moment. That didn't happen like that. It happened because I came into the room knowing, and today I came into this room knowing that you, inside of you, there's so much to give, and there's so much. I know there are a lot of teachers here, rabbis, cantors, educators. You're going to introduce yourselves later, that know what to do. What I want to challenge you today, and maybe open your hearts to looking at different ways of doing it, and maybe to revisit why we even got into this, why we decided to be rabbis and, you know, and cantors and educators and work with families. I want to ask you if you could put your hands up. Who is in the early childhood world in this group? Who is specifically working with very young kids? I'm going to visit both screens. And who is not? Who is working with older children, with religious schools with, okay, kind of, okay. I want to make sure. So, do you have your water? Did you bring your water? Great, Davey. Yeah, I want us to hang out on this because there's, you know, I believe that hanging out is also a practice that we undermined, thinking that we have to be producing all the time. So I think that for being creative, we need to be able to hang out, especially with our souls and our creative thoughts. Okay. So are you ready for this? By asking you, I'm asking myself. Okay. So a brief introduction to the approach. We will look today into the very clear notion that we will not be in control of what happens in people's houses. That if we are assuming that people will not come to a synagogue or to your organization or to your school, that this will happen in their own homes. And this is a scenario, okay? Let's imagine that this could be the case. And let's not put more drama into that, but just assume, okay, let's see if this is what happens. We will not be able to control them, to control their behavior in many, many ways. Yes? Do we understand that? Do we agree on that? Okay. Just so you know, I didn't put my screen on speaker view to see you. So I see everybody when I'm talking. So just so you know about the interaction. So if we know that we are not in control of what they are going to do in their houses or in their homes, we need to understand that we need to create something very multidimensional. That this is not about telling them what to do. This is about us inspiring them to potentially get them engaged with us. And if we're talking about teenagers and their parents in the room, we have to be very aware of that. Because as we know, teenagers sometimes don't want to be told what to do. So this has to be always an invitation. So something very that I'm going to talk and show you throughout the webinar today, and we're together for 75 minutes, is how to remove instructions from what you are going to be leading. How to remove instructions. Instead of saying, and now we're going to be happy. And this is the time that we're going to pray the Birchot HaShachar, the morning blessings. And now, and please rise. And now sit down. We're going to remove that. How we're going to remove that to make it really engaging? We're going to replace instructions by, guess, put in the chat. What do you think you have to replace the instructions for? I want to see the chats. Yes, Julie, by invitations. Yes, yes. So everything has to be an invitation. So for example, and meaningful moments, yes, and actions and suggestions and questions, yes. Everything you're saying, I'm looking at the chat all the time. If we remove the order, this finger, do you remember this finger? Have you had this finger growing up, or, you know, and now you, if we can remove that and everything is, and what if, and how about, and let's try, the whole experience changes because the predisposition of those who are on the other side of the screen shifts from, instead of I'm here for you, oh, we're here together. So one more thing, and I'm looking at the chats also. For many families, the opportunity of celebrating at home, especially with young children, is a blessing. It's not a drama. It's the best thing that could have ever happened to them in many ways. I'm not saying just that, but to not be able to dress them up and get them out of, you know, the house and everything could be an addition. So if we can approach this new framework with no sadness, as if we are doing this because of what we cannot do, and this is something in a way it's psychological, you know. So we sometimes, you know, say things that can, well, because we cannot hug each other, let's hug each other. No, let's hug each other through the screen. Let's remove what we can't. Let's do what we can. And I think this is very important for all of us, especially for us if we're designing high holidays. For many other families, not stepping into a synagogue or into their organization, an organization that feels like home during the high holidays is traumatic. And also homes go through many different moments in itself. So a home is not just a peaceful paradise. Homes have divorces. Homes have many things going on. So let's have all of that awareness in our hearts. And when I said in the webinar to procrastinate, I got emails that were amazing, like, Karina, your procrastination thing is revolutionary. I would say so Latin, by the way. What I'm saying is this is the time to feel all that. It's not doing for us, but it's for us to bring into our awareness all the universe, because for I think we have the opportunity to go into their homes this time. So there's the shift there. One other thing, I want you to think, one thing to prepare families, and I'm going very practical now. One thing to prepare families, and you will hear me talk about families a lot and not just kids, is to prepare them ahead of time. For example, you know, to tell them a few days before the gathering, what the behavior you're expecting. What is the behavior you're expecting? The etiquette, you say? For example, I prepared you in many ways to have some pants or shorts, because if we're gonna move or jump or stretch at one point, I don't want you to feel like, oh, but she didn't tell me and I'm in my underwear, you know, behind my table. That can happen. There's so many cool videos online talking about that. So, for example, and I'm telling you, let me tell you what I would say to them. You know, I would say, you know, if you need to eat or drink because you're in your home, what I would really invite you is to maybe turn the camera off. Do you know how to turn the camera off? Because there are some things that we do that can be disturbing. There's some others, if you move around, if your child is, you know, screaming, or you are having a fight in the middle of, we won't hear you because you're muted. But there are some things that really have an impact in what we are going to be doing. So preparing them also as an invitation, not as shoulds and shouldn'ts, because families are struggling with all the many things. I'm going to repeat a phrase that I said the other day. I'm quoting Esther Perel. She said, we're not working from home, we're working with home. So we need to let them know that we are aware of that, and we're going to embrace their home and their reality, okay? So moving around is okay, it doesn't interfere. Drinking, eating, just turn your camera off. because I think that families need to be prepared, to be comfortable, and to know your expectations. Any questions, comments, ideas up to this point? Okay. So before our first practice,
Karina, actually, just a quick question. When you say drinking,
who's speaking? Who's speaking?
Sorry,
Because I'm,
Daria.
wait, oh, let me look for you, Daria. Yes, Daria.
Hey, so Daria from DC. We're drinking, but we're drinking together. I mean, do you really mean like no water even? I mean, if people were together, they maybe would have had a water bottle.
No, I'm saying they can drink. Thank you for asking. They can drink. You will not stop them from eating.
Yeah.
Just if they're drinking, that's okay to be on camera. But if someone suddenly in the middle of a prayer goes for a sandwich, or a kid is asking for a snack,
Right.
let them be off camera. I think that, and you can feel it. I'm not saying you should do that, but just be aware of the things that we cannot avoid, but that we can in a way frame so that people also don't feel worried. Oh, can I eat? Oh, he's asking me, because I'm always doing this for their sake. It's not for my sake. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But if people are aware of what gets in the way of an experience and that you are seen, that's what I'm telling you now. I kept my camera small, I'm on what is it? A gallery view, to look at you. Because so it's not the same if you're now eating a sandwich or slouching in the couch than if you are like, okay, let's do it. You know, that is, but thank you, Daria.
So what do you say about the slouching on the couch, right? Like how do you, and I know you talked about the tent and creating the special environment, and that's, I think, will be helpful, but that was what I was thinking of when you were talking about the couch, the tent piece was like, oh, maybe that will help with the passive, you know, they have no idea what their face looks like unless they happen to be looking, and just like the slouched couch.
So the slouching on the couch, I was referring to this meeting.
Yeah.
I wasn't referring to families on the couch with a kid hanging down, or even, you know, a kid, you know, lying on the floor and the parent lying on the floor with a kid.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, they can be engaged in that way, but then I'm sure we've all been leading things where people have, you know, they're engaged to the extent that the screen is on and they're connected, but you can just see, you know, their just whole physical presence is so removed. And perhaps, I mean, it's by the activities that we'll be inviting them in to do, I assume, is going to get them off the couch and engaged and forward. So you can just pause that, I guess, really.
Yes, and that's what we're going to be looking at, how to turn their behavior or their presence into something that they feel it's needed for the event, because this is something that we use a little bit too little. We sometimes don't tell people that how needed they are. We ask things from them, but we don't need them that much. And to tell them that they are needed, that we're going to look into that. I don't want to talk too much about it. I want to show you and do things with you, because it could be that a kid has fever. You don't know if the kid is sick, but they're there and they're engaged from whatever feels right to them. So Debbie is asking, how about asking people who need to move the camera phone to turn off video until they're in a ready place? Yes.
Karina?
Yes, Mason. Yes, you can do that, Debbie.
I think that ultimately the camera turning off suggestion was more of, you know, the way that we received an invitation saying, join us with water, with comfy clothes, with these things. We're giving the pre-expectation that we're welcoming a sense of hanging out, of that hanging out culture, of being comfortable together, of eating, drinking, but that the adult in the Zoom, rather instead of the room, that the adult who's in control of the other end of the computer are just mindful of what's going on. Just to be mindful that the rest of us are looking at your screen. So if you know, because Debbie's suggestion, how about we move, people get ready before they turn it on. It's more about those moments that they're not planning for. They're not planning that someone's going to have an outburst or someone has to go to the bathroom or whatever. So it's just about being mindful that we're all, you know, that your screen is our screen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mason. Yes. And you know what? I hope we can feel liberated from not having to be asking for silence or to be asking for, you know, the different things that we sometimes have to ask. If we can look at this, and I don't like silver lining tragedy, okay? I'm not silver lining the pandemic. I'm not doing it. But what I'm saying is, with these circumstances, things that we cannot change, we can look at the thoughts that come out with these circumstances and the feelings that come because of those thoughts. Because it's because of those feelings that we're going to be reacting with this, with the families and with ourselves. And we will create results. But I don't want to go into approach all the time because I want you to see it. Okay? So let me see if I have to, oh yes.
Can I just say something really quickly?
Of course, Julie.
Basically, it's like when I worked with teens a lot and I was telling them like how to transition into something, people hear the first thing you say. So if you say something like, okay, so now we're all going to do mincha. I know no one really likes to, but we're going to do it. It doesn't matter if you then do the most sparkly, unicorny, fireworksy thing ever. They heard the first thing you say. So it's just the remembering not to be apologist. We're just going to do it. I'm not going to apologize to you that I don't have enough Legos anymore to build the Batmobile. I'm going to say, we got Legos, let's build.
Yes. What I would be very aware is of the tone. Because you could even be asking something or inviting people with a tone that is a demand. And I think we have to be very aware of tones in general in life. We could be given the most amazing, suggestion to someone with a tone that brings that thing down. And I have to say that being on a screen, even in this moment with you, I'm observing myself. This is the first workshop that I'm doing like this online. I did conversations with the Shababa network, but we knew each other from a summit in person. So I'm also observing myself and saying, oh, what is my tone? Am I talking too loud? Should I relax a little bit more? Should I trust that people are here with me? You know, there's so much that we have to be checking, so much. So what I would love is to invite you to get something in the room or wherever you are that is smushy. A pillow, a teddy bear, I don't know, go, I'm here. Go get something that feels smushy. Okay, I'm waiting for you. I have no rush. I'm here with you until for 45 minutes more. And I can hang out with you. I can. Okay. Some people took it seriously. I hope they come back. It's a great pretext to maybe go to the, okay. I love that, oh, a cat, oh, a daughter, maybe, do I see right? That's nicely. Oh, what's that, Arnie? Oh, an owl, that's amazing. An owl. That's beautiful. So I want us to take a deep breath and to take the time to hug that smushy thing that we have and to close our eyes and stay there for a little bit. And to try to just focus on the feeling of hugging the smushy thing that we chose to hug at this time. and try to remove all other thoughts from your mind. Just connect with the feeling. Just feel. Am I too tense? When I hug something that I love or that is smooshy, do I feel that they are tense, or feel body? And if you can, only if it feels true to you, I invite you to see if you can smile while you're hugging or smushing. I don't know even how to say it in English. That smushy thing. See if you can smile as well. Yeah. See if you want to move as you hug. That smushy feeling that is there with you. And see if there's a smile that goes all around, all over your hugging. And when you're ready, you can thank your smushy thing for holding you, because you think you're holding the smushy thing, but that thing is holding you. And you can put it aside. But don't put it so far away, because you might need it throughout the workshop, okay? It's good for us to have something that, helps us feel our bodies. So many of the things that we can do when we are with others on the other screen is to bring something that we can do in common and that is available for some of us at our homes. Some of you didn't have something smooshy to hug, I saw, I'm sorry. Or maybe you didn't want to, but you're offering to do something in common. If you were in the webinar, I asked you to look for something that you love to smell so that we could all smell something together. So this is a good way, I think, for bringing people together. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter how old you are. We can do this together. Go find something shiny in your house. The shiniest thing you have around your house. And having families move around and bringing shiny things and showing it. It's also talking about themselves. It's also telling them, I can see you. You are seen. It matters to me to see what's shiny in your house. What's smooshy in your house. And this is for all ages. For all ages. If you ask teenagers to go for, I don't know, their favorite t-shirt, to bring it there, show me. Let me go into your home. I want to see you. So today is all about prayer. And I want to talk about prayer and show you prayers with the approach that I brought into the work that I've been doing. This doesn't mean that you have to do it. And a lot of people, and my husband is here in one of the squares. He's waving. There you go, Rabbi. He's a rabbi also. Behave. I come from the Kavanah world, and I see prayers as moments. I can't see prayers only as words, not even as music. I see them as moments that can have music, that have words, but especially they have an intention. They have a way to go into them. So the services or the experiences that I've been created or I've been coaching people to create are based on that roadmap. How to create meaningful praying moments where if you don't know why you're doing them, you don't do them. If you don't know if the people are not ready for them, you wait. Because what you want to do, and this is harder online, what you want to do is to share that moment with people. And some people know Hebrew. For some people, Hebrew get in the way. Some people love music. Some people are sensitive to some sounds or to some loudness, or there's so many ways to connect with prayer. So if we're going to look at prayer as a moment, there is a before, there is a in the moment, and there is an after. We're not going to do any praying moments in this concept and this context that, of course, have many other approaches. I'm not talking about prayer as if I hadn't read Heschel, you know, I'm bringing all of these things together. We're not going to do drive-through prayers. We're not going to do prayer throughs. We're not going to do that. We're going to stay. It's all about mindfulness. We're going to stay. And we're going to see how we can invite grown-ups. I never talk about adults. This is another thing that you can write down. When you talk, if you have families, I don't talk about adults. I talk about grown-ups and kids. Grown-ups is an ongoing, growing adult. It's not a finished product. And then there is the kid. And then there is the inner kid in the grown-up. So it's a language that I'm just sharing, but I don't want to stay there. Okay, so the first prayer that I want to do with you, I'm going to go right into the Shema as a model with you. So I would like to invite you to see if you want to move away from a desk, if you want to put your camera, because I'm going to go to the floor. And I hope, I think I'm going to bring my computer with me so you can see it. So in an online setting, and I'm not saying this is the best one, you take care, you make sure that the environment looks inviting, or at least it's been beautified, but it's still home. I'm going to talk about that after the prayer, okay? About the staging of things, okay? So you're going to do it with me. This is not about, okay? So if you're ready to do it with me, I'm recording it so you will remember. Try and go to the floor. If you feel like going to the floor, because you can, come to the floor with me. We can do this together. There you go. And if you cannot sit on the floor, that's also okay. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel that the floor or the chair is holding you, that you're not tense, you know, because we can be like, oh. So, grown-ups, kids, everybody in the room, everybody who signed up today for praying moments. Let's take a deep breath together. Go ahead. Quiet yourselves. There's nothing to say. I see Morgan singing with me. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way and listen, listen to your soul. If you think about the word soul, where would you put your hand on? Would it be on your head, on your tummy, on your back? Show me. Where does your soul stay or lie or live? Is it maybe everywhere? Quiet yourself. Repeat after me. Quiet yourself. There's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way. And listen, listen to your soul. Let me see your rubbing hands. Everybody, I'm going to change the screen so I can see everybody rubbing their hands. Yes. We're not pretending we're praying, we're doing it, because if we don't do it ourselves, then it won't happen for real. So rub your hands, say it. Sit up taller. I want to hear you. Take a deep breath, everybody. Shalom. Let's do it one more time with no words. So let's do it together, no words. Everybody, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't even matter if you're working with little kids or with teenagers. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is who you are today. So everybody open your ears. If you feel like putting your hands behind your ears, do it. And think of something that you haven't heard in a long time. Maybe since the pandemic started. Try to see if you can remember something that you would love to hear. Again. Shema Israel. Open your favorite book. Open your favorite book. You can do this, but this is not a choreography, so whatever feels like opening a book, do it. Adonai, show us everywhere whatever God feels for you. Eloheinu, you can hug yourself. Adonai, Echad. So I'm sorry if some of you have heard me in previous workshops. Have you ever been in a workshop with me? Some of you did. So you might remember that there was a long time that I used to do the Shema like this, with the one up in the air, until a little kid stood up and started walking towards me and putting his one to my one, like Mason is doing. And because kids copy other kids, all the other kids started walking and stepping on everybody's heads, towards me with their one. And the Echad became real. Because one thing is a translation. This could be a translation and a choreography. And especially in moments like this, we need to stretch. So everybody, go for the Echad. Go for the Echad in everybody. There you go. And this changed the whole thing completely. But we stay there I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to continue because we did the echad. We feel together. We feel together, do we? We're there, right? We're stretching. We're there with the echad. And because our hearts are open, and because we feel like when we stretch, we are with another one, let's do it one more time. Let's do the Shema with no words. Are you ready? Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3. Just the motions. But because for doing the Shema, you have to really know it, I'm going to challenge you. Let's do it with motions, with words, but with our eyes closed. Can we try that? Okay, ready? Close your eyes, everybody. Let's do the Shema with our eyes closed. Motions and words together. Say it out loud. Shema, listen, Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai. Are you ready to find another one with your eyes closed? Echad. Open your eyes. Are we together? Hey, brothers, we all are one. Hey, sisters, we all are one. No matter where we're coming from, no matter where we're going to. Hey, brothers. Hey, brothers, we all are one. Hey, sisters, we all are one. No matter where we're coming from, no matter where we're going to. Let's take a deep breath. And let's get together and talk about the Shema moment so that we can start storing, putting things in the storage of praying moments together. You can stay sitting where you are. I want you to be comfortable. You can stay there. You can come back to a chair. Debbie saying, I did something similar for a monthly family service. We asked the families to show something Jewish that is special. Oh, sorry, I read it afterwards. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. So I want you to unmute your microphones, to unmute yourselves, and to react.
I liked that. Oh,
Who's talking?
Morgan.
Morgan.
Hi. So I met you like 3 years ago now, and I do that very similarly. But I even just had an aha moment of we've been doing this every Sunday since we've been virtual, and you just changing up like the slightest movements of where you are. Like I get where I am for that 30 minutes, and I don't budge for no reason. I'm asking them to move, but I don't move, and so I think that was something that I really liked. And you made, it's not stale, but you made something that I've done for a while change. And I thought that was really, and you didn't, what'd you say?
What was?
You had us, the adding the closing our eyes. And I wrote down just now, like I said, moving to the floor and not, I guess I always I forget because no one likes to be told to move to the floor, but you invite them to move to the floor. This might be more comfortable if you're sitting on the floor. That kind of language. And then, but the challenge of closing your eyes, but then opening them and being together was like, why didn't I think of that? We're on Zoom. We're losing all other senses except for sight. So I thought that was really cool that you had us take that away for like not even very long. Not where like, little kids might peek, but that's kind of cute.
I've done something similar. I'm Debbie. I taught my kids in Sunday school the Shema in sign language. And I also do the Aleph Bet in sign language. And so it gives them concrete motions to go with the words so that they know what they're saying. And then I challenge them to try to say the Shema with their eyes closed. So they have to be thinking, Shema, listen. And I just feel like their movement, their whole body's getting into it, creates something different than just repeating the words.
Thank you, Debbie. Yes, Max?
Hi.
Say where you're from, at least a little bit, just so we know you.
Oh, I am in Chicago at Anshe Emet, which is a very big conservative synagogue, and I work with families with young children, and I lead services. And so I had several thoughts as I was listening to lead that moment. I was noticing that you were starting to sing or sing-song all of the like descriptions and introductions, and my thoughts were both, that's amazing, and that doesn't feel authentic to me. Like I love how you do that, and I can't envision myself doing that. So I'm just wrestling with that. I'm not sure I'm asking for like a solution for that. I also am thinking a lot about the movement that you use for the Shema. In the past, I have done sign language, and then I was criticized pretty significantly for my my ineptitude with. I was sign shamed, and so now I am wrestling with how to incorporate movement in an authentic way into tefillah without offending. So
Thank you. Can I respond or because Joan, I know you want to say something, so I'm hearing things that are so important. That's why I'm going to.
You should respond, Katrina.
What?
I love the big movements. I've seen the Shema in, where it was much smaller, and I just loved the big movement and opening it up. And I think that's great for families because the times I've done sign language with the Shema, it was always much more closed. Personally, for me, I am very tone deaf, and I would be nervous leading a group kind of in this in-tone meditative type of a thing, because I hate the way my sing-song voice. But I think it might be something I even learned from Maxine years ago at a Cage conference that my kids and families really respond to, where we just all start with shh for the quiet, and then we listen to the beauty of the world, which is and then we go around with the beauty. So that was another type of a thing, but I like the way you did that with that big movement, and it just was something I haven't seen, and I've been around for a long time, so I liked it.
So let me respond a little bit to I think what I'm hearing. First of all, what I do is what I feel true to me. I'm not telling you what you should do. What I'm sharing with you is honesty. It's truth. It's what is true to Karina. I'm a musical person, and I need to feel things in my body. Even when I pray, and you see people also, so many people just go back and forth, I lost the word,
Shuffling.
Yes, while they pray. It's what I showed you, what I tried to show you with this Shema moment was how we can make it real, as play is real. Praying is like playing. In many ways, you can pray if you integrate your soul into what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just lip service. And I talk a lot about keva and kavana, you know, the fixed and the intentional. And I'm looking at the time and I feel like we're already short of time. So I want to keep going a little bit. But what I want you to look is not at what Karina is saying, but what Karina is free to be doing. What is it that I can free myself so that I can try things? And I'm so sorry that, Max, you were ashamed, you know, because do you think that everybody that comes to my workshops or agrees with me? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I keep going, I keep exploring, and I keep being true to what I do. Because if I'm not free to try, then I get bored. And if kids get bored, it's because we are bored first. And that is for all teenagers, for all ages. This is not just little kids. If we're not having fun, if we're not engaged, truly engaged in the passion of what we're doing and including them in that passion, then they get bored. It's not just, oh, the kids in the religious school, they don't like to do what I'm telling you. Of course, because you're not doing what they need to be doing. It's a dance. So don't look at what I did as a formula. Just look at the intention of why I'm doing that as a way to inspire you to explore and play more. Yes, I will be sharing lyrics and such in the recording. Yes, of course, I will. So let's take another. So the Shema, what is good about the Shema in the high holidays is that if you're doing something with your families already, weekly or monthly, towards the high holidays, towards the Yamim Noraim, you can practice this with them. So when you get to the Yamim Noraim, to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and you do it, there's something super familiar already there. And that if you started it during screen time, it becomes even more relevant because it's not something that you used to do in this place and now we're doing it here. But oh, this was born during the pandemic, during the time that we were on Zoom together. So that is why I started with this prayer, so that you can use it as a continuum, you say, towards it. Okay, because that was very moving when I used to do the high holidays at the 92nd Street Y. There were many things that were new to people. When I started with the Shema, with quiet yourselves, I had to sit down, and the kids and the families would just gravitate towards me and sit on the floor close to me. There was no need to tell them what to do. So use that. It's a suggestion. You can use that as something ongoing. Okay. Let me go to another prayer. Okay. So, where am I? I prepared a few. Okay, let's talk about, for example, another type of prayer. It could be the Birchot HaShachar, the morning blessings. Is it a blessing? Are those blessings that you do? Is it a blessing that you would like to see? Maybe as an example, and maybe it's more for older kids or, okay. So there's an igun, there's a melody that I have been using to the morning blessing. So in the morning service, by the way, I never call them services. I call them experiences, because when you talk a lot about Kavanah and when you're going to adapt it to a smaller, shorter period of time, when you're going to prioritize their attention span over, what has to be done, I think that it's better to call them experiences, high holiday family experiences, or then services, just to make sure that this is conveyed. So there is this nigun, this melody that I use, and I invite you to sing along with me because you're muted, so you can sing really loud. Hey, 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 I love your clapping. I want to hear you. And because this is a prayer that speaks about the body, so many things that we can express with our bodies. If you feel like standing up, you can. I don't have my guitar strap, so that's why I'm not doing. I'm gonna try, but maybe you feel like stomping. I want to see a big stretch. See if you can stretch and feel your body and put a smile on your faces. Everybody go. Baruch atah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mokeach ivrim, who helps the blind to see. Oh, you know what's missing? What is missing is something very important in blessings. What is missing is the amen. Can we all say amen? Yeah, because you know what? If a blessing without an amen feels like it's not true enough. So I want to make sure that we can say amen and that we can scream it, okay? Together, ready? Baruch atah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzalmo, who has made me in your image. I didn't hear you. Go louder. Amen. Okay, everybody, unmute yourselves. Hey, given me, what do you want to say that is a blessing in your life? Who has given me what?
My family.
Family. Who has given me family?
Amen.
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 Getting it. Baruch atah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who Adonai gave me what?
Health.
Health. What else?
Happiness.
Happiness. What else?
Food.
Food. What else?
Friends.
Music. Hands. Yes.
Courage.
Courage. Yes.
Hope.
Hope. Yes.
Patience.
Patience. Yes.
Community.
Yes.
Pets.
Yes. And an opportunity to be together today. Amen. Okay, now, instead of saying, I want you to point to something that you're grateful for. Maybe it's in the room, maybe is in a picture. I don't know. You know better. Try to find someone that instead of saying, oh, I see. Oh, Max, what's his name? Baruch atah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who in me. Show me, show me, show me. I want to see. What are you grateful for? Oh, that's so beautiful. What else? Amen, amen, amen. Oh, that's beautiful, Mary. That's so nice. What's that, Debbie?
I'm pointing to my computer.
Love
Trying to
it.
be with you.
Oh, sweet. Love that. Oh, this is so nice. And we all say, Amen. So what do we do with this? What we are doing with this is we make it not only interactive, but to a level that is not pediatric, because when you talk about Amen, you're not talking about pediatric Judaism. You're talking about, like saying, how to say, aseverar. Okay, I'm losing to confirm, right? You are,
I agree.
I
I've heard it
agree, right? So you make them think what you're doing, what you're saying, what they are saying. So think, do you really agree on that? You can even stop at a time and say, we're going to pray one line, but I want you to turn to your family members and talk about this. Do you truly agree on what we're saying? Do we truly feel that we're grateful because they're clothes that, dress up the naked? What would it feel to be naked? When you put kavanah in the front burner, you're putting people's thoughts and feelings in the front burner to make them loud. You prioritize their intentions and their feelings and their reactions. So rushing over prayers gives you less opportunities to meet your people, even if they are across the screen. So free yourselves at moments, especially if you're going to frame the high holidays as an experience. Free yourselves from doing by a formula called next. Okay, now let's get next. What's next? And now, so try to remove even the words so now and now, because those anticipate something that it's in your head, but it's not in people's heads. So what if, go back to the invitation. Does this make sense? So you're not taking them on a road trip that they don't want to be in, or that they realize that they have not even planned it. You're suddenly going into their houses and saying, I want to stay with you for a little bit. And it happens that it's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. What if we frame our gathering? What if we frame our relationship? What if we go inside this tent called Rosh Hashanah and have something meaningful in there? But I don't want to go into that tent by myself. I need you. I need you. So in the next workshops that are scheduled along this month, I'm going to go into deeper into very specific times like Tashlich, the shofar. Even if you don't do an Yizkor service with your families, I truly encourage you to be part of that workshop, because a lot of what I do with the families, was inspired by the Yizkor services, mindfulness services that Marcelo, my husband, does. It's very much about imagining we encounter the people we miss again. And for kids to be in the presence of their grown-ups, being moved by the memories of their loved ones, I think it's very important. We don't share our emotions sometimes enough. And a lot of the things that happen in a family experience is that it's not that the parents start, it's not that we are lowering Judaism or putting Judaism in a pediatric box. Is that we are allowing the children to be in the presence of their grown-ups' emotions. And I think that in moments where we're going to be wearing masks for a long time, hopefully not for a long time, but it seems like we are, I am truly concerned, and I'm sure you are too, about about kids growing in a world where they cannot make eye contact, where they cannot hug another person, where distance is healthy. So if we can bring their emotions together in moments like this, and we don't have to wait until the high holidays to start doing it. Maybe you've been doing it already. I'm sure all of you have been doing that. But if we can stress that importance in what we do, I think we might be able to save this new generation that is born during the pandemic, and these parents that are becoming parents in pandemic times. So we have just a few more minutes. I want to Q&A, throw questions, or ask. I'm here for you. You can unmute yourselves. You're free to do that.
Hey, Karina. This is Morgan again from Columbus, Ohio. I am looking at my Columbus, Ohio thing that I made at the very beginning. And I think that I love that I was able to grab, I mean, it's so easy to grab pens and markers, whatever. Do you have any other ideas of ways we could use this beyond saying where you're from, if you're talking about families that you already know where they're from? Like, what other ideas
to
use marker? Because handwriting is really cute and it's different for everyone. So I love that using it, but I need more ideas of how to use it.
Yes, so this is some things that I'm going to be talking about, the different prayers that we in the different workshops, but we are entering the halacha world, okay? So in many organizations, drawing or writing, you don't do that during Chagim. So, but for example, I didn't have that restraint at the 92nd Street Y. I could be doing something very Jewish at the same time. I wasn't told not to paint or not to draw. So let's imagine we're not during the Chagim. We're in the Elul month, the month before the holidays, the month in preparation for. One thing that I love is putting papers on the walls or having big pieces of paper and to tell families ahead of time to draw something themed with a theme. I don't know, this is a blank one, okay? But that they can show during, a Chag, that could, if you can do it before that, or during the Elul month, you can give them, I don't know, what I did was I asked families to decorate in big pieces of paper, welcoming mats. Like how do you call them? Door mats, the ones you put, right? And to decorate them as if they were going to then put it on the door at their apartments or in their houses, and you give them time to do that as a family. So then it's not just writing in the moment, but just having something that they will then show together. Or think about decorations that you want them to do. This is another thing about the High Holidays Online. I have some ideas. Do you want me to go through that? Because maybe I'm answering Morgan's. Let me go back here. So some remarks about High Holidays Online. These are not teaching moments. I'm talking about my perspective. High Holidays are not about teaching moments. These are learning moments. These are moments when we learn together. We're not going to teach them anything because they have to be completely and fully present, and they have to be fully engaged. We don't want to challenge their intellectual part of their brains. We need to create memories with them, and they need to trust us, especially with a screen in here, like a window. The other thing is very important that you don't use kids' language, that you don't talk, and now little again, now children and the kids if you're talking to the family, talk you, let's all. How about if children and grown-ups, children look at your, like there's so many ways that you can address, you know, that you're truly into a family experience and not a children's with the grown-ups attending. Mm-hmm. I have so much and I don't want to rush you. If you, for example, are streaming from your synagogue, if you will be streaming for your synagogue, people love backstages. They love backstages. Try to start your streaming from the synagogue by walking. You know how they do sometimes in the Oscars that they put the presenters like walking from the street to the stage, but show them if the synagogue is going to be empty and you're going to be by yourself, show them how vulnerable you are also. Show them the backstage. Make them part of your space. Like, don't make something frontal. Make it, just expand, go back, come back. Yes, like Mason is doing, you see? He's scared. Yeah, there are so many funny, but I was even thinking, there are some people already that rabbis and cantors who are leading from their synagogues, and they say the scariest, weirdest thing that they're experiencing is going into their synagogues and everything is turned off, the lights are off, they're going into dark places. So if you turn on the lights with them, if you go to the bima with them, make them part of your stage of who you are in that moment and what you're dealing with. We reached our time. It's 1:17 here in Costa Rica. We passed 2 minutes our time, and I want to be very, very mindful of this. I hope it was good. I want to hear, I want feedback, and there's more. I spread it out through 6 workshops. If you think you want to join and go deeper, I think the journey will go deeper. This is just the beginning. I know you know what to do. I know you have it. Just free yourselves. And maybe if we do it together, we can free our planet from this pandemic and from every other fears. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Be well.
Karina, I wish you were around to teach teachers how to teach because you're amazing. Thank you.
I am around. Look, I'm in Costa Rica and you could be with me. I'm super
But teachers learning to teach, it's very inspiring. Thank you.
My pleasure, Debbie. Thank you for being here. Thank you all.
Very.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to practice my
Yes.
See you next week.
Thanks, Karina. Always awesome. You know it.
Fantastic.
We love you.
Really great. Thank you.
I try. Thank you.
I wanted to show you what my background actually looks like. This is my behind the scenes. But you'd never know because there's a green screen, you know?
You're right. But sometimes looking the mess, you know, there's something cute in this moment, I think, to show reality, like not a messy reality, but some truthful thing. That's what I love about the Some Good News program that John
Yeah.
Krasinski is doing. You know, it's at home. I like that. It's part of what I was going to share, but I didn't get there.
I actually kind of have a question about that. So on my school's last day, which I kept saying it's a family experience and family and family and family, most of that was really good. And there were also some parents who parked their kids in front of the computer and kind of let them go. And of course, then the kids start playing with the chat and the everything. And I forgot to disable that. And that was on me. And I'm like, I don't want to have to say, okay, I reminded you, I asked you, and then remove somebody from the last day of school because we're trying to feel good. How can we, what would be language that you would suggest in terms of like the invitation to engage about what that expectation is, that this is for families without admonishing them and being like, please don't make me your kid's screen babysitter for the next 40 minutes. You know, it's really critical to be there together.
You're talking about, yes, go Mason.
I was just going to say, there's so much unknown. There's so much out of our control that we do have to focus on things that are in our control. And while it won't feel good, you can turn off somebody's video, you know? So even if you're not disabling the chat or whatever, I'm just saying in that moment where there's not the grown up around, you know, and it's become very distracting for the group, that way they're still a part of the experience, but it's not, you know, as distracting. That's just one of the things that I've found helpful with Zoom programming.
I did a webinar with somebody from Tribal Gatherings. And so she talks about how when she did all of her birthright stuff, there's always a packing list in advance and how that's a part of the experience.
I wrote that down from your note. I liked it.
Yeah. But in the same way, Karina, that you know, invited us, you know, wear this and bring this, to almost front load people with a packing list for the experience. And I thought about what to wear because, again, on my year-end thing, I had a family that was there on the couch having the time of their lives, and their 4-year-old was running around the house in his underwear. And, you know, as we get towards doing online school next year, we're actually going to have a few expectations and parameters that that's not going to be okay next year. And that like my aides and people like lying in bed is not going to be okay because it's becoming more intimate space. And so I just keep thinking back to like a packing list. And it's like, here are the things to make our experience amazing together.
And yet, yes, and yet, being on a screen with another person doesn't mean that you're not with that person.
Right.
So as Mason said, if that is distracting and really distracting, not just you, we should never react from our, you know, you're distracting my plan, you know, but if you think that it's really interfering with something, you turn their camera off. And you reflect upon what did I do or what didn't I do to make them be more prepared.
Right.
But I think that even on social media, and Brené Brown said it, you know, if comments are to create more like fights and not to go to the solution, you just block that person. Like being on a screen, that doesn't mean that we don't have to respect, you know, ourselves and feel comfortable with the presence of others. So it's good to feel that it's not the same to be running around in underwear. But some people don't know that they're seen. There's so many people that haven't used Zoom. They think they're on Facebook Live. Yeah.
They forget it's honest. And like, I know for me, like I've stopped using, like I do hide self-view on everything because I got too conscious of looking at myself. So I did a few storytelling things and I did the same versions of the same story 3 times. And every time, not only did I have self-view off, I had the screen off. And what people reflected to me was they saw the story I was telling because it was in my face. They had nothing else to look at. And I took away all of my self-consciousness, which has put me into it that much more.
There you go. But you hear people, we're learning this. We're learning this. There's sometimes people that don't know when they're at Facebook, the difference between a Facebook Live and a Zoom. They don't know, so they think that they're not seen. You know, let's be compassionate. But
let us all not forget Jennifer.
Who's Jennifer?
Jennifer was that first viral video that went around like about 3 months ago.
Went to the bathroom?
Remember?
No.
Which one's Jennifer?
Where she went to the restroom during.
Yes. Yes.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye, everybody. Great
Bye,
meeting you,
thank
Julie.
you.
Bye, Rebe.
Thanks, Karina. Bye, Rabbi. Bye, Rebecca.
Bye.